How's it going? Alright. Yeah. Hey, Jacob. What up, homie? So I worked a little bit more on the Native American lady. And I'll open. This was the stream version. Hey, Tormod. Atgi Kirill. So this was the stream version, and I spent some more time on it, a little bit more, not a lot, to kind of adjust the pose. Let's flip it so you guys can see the difference better. So I didn't like the pose. It was her like leg created a weird diagonal. So I configured her pose, and I spent some more time on refining, adding some details, but not a lot at all. But at least it's a better indication of direction. Hey, Captain Boss, Captain Jetlag, Dearbard, what's up? Hey, thank you very much, Genuine Vision. Much appreciated. So this was the warm up. This was me with a little bit of extra time on top of it, and I'm ready to do the next, whatever the next might be. Hey, Mila. Yoo-hoo, Chillstrand. Captain Boss, yeah, way better pose. The pose of the warm up was stiff. It was not at all good. Hey, Gaxix. Hold up. Mr. Gaxix has returned. Check this out, Gaxix. Oh, how nice. How nice. How nice. Alright. So, without further ado. Hey, Giria. Good morning, sir. Eternal Lady. How's it going? Hey, Gaxix, by the way, where have you been, man? Where have you been? Busy, I hope. But that's good. Right, so, hey, Rags, how's it going? So, next character. I was thinking, what should I do? What should I do? Either another enemy, another bad guy, or I could rush a bad guy, or I could just play it safe with an enemy. Uh, and that being another version of that, right? So that's one of the enemies, one of the outlaws, kind of. Not really enemy per se, but a bad guy, right? So I was thinking I should do another one of these to play it safe. The merged farmer, that's going to be the civilians. I think I'll definitely do the merged farmer at some point. Hey, Mila! Oh, thank you very much for the subscription. Now you can also do these fantastic things. And I read up about like how can some people have a lot of these emojis. Gaxix, yes, the cowboy. So I'm gonna do an enemy today, I think. I read up about how can someone have so many emojis, um, and apparently it's the more subscribers you have, they're like points. Like X amount of subscribers gives you um, um, like 1 to 5 subscribers gives you one emoji. 5 to 10 gives you two, so on, so on. Hey, Super Greebly, how's it going? Hey, Zayalin. So a monster. I'm thinking, like what would be a crazy, like this S shape of him. I don't want to repeat it because I don't want to just kind of be the same. How about, let's say, if it's a big fat guy, like a big fat outlaw, right? And and it has this weird negative space in his big fat belly. And would that kind of maybe be interesting? I think it's definitely worth. I mean, obviously, I need to push personality here, right? Maybe he has a shotgun and those weird eyes, or maybe he can't have shotgun over the shoulder because that is more kind of intelligence. Okay, let's resketch him. I had this idea about the pose, so let's have him big fat with massive negative space in the belly, but still being fat, and then him like dragging his shotgun behind him, something like that. Chris Toleros, I have no idea what Libra Pay is, but I'll look into it. Hey Sayart, welcome back. Oh, I do know Wendigo, Gaxix. I have actually designed a Wendigo. Last year I did a Wendigo for a tabletop RPG game. It should be actually released on internet even. This Wendigo I designed. Let's quickly. Let's see. There we go. There it is. That's my design of the Wendigo. Oh, Chris. All right, that's cool. I'll look into that. I'll look into it. I mean, you can only do that. I mean, I could set up my own, but what I've done now, for example, with Twitch, is that I will just enable donation, and through the Twitch alert or whatever, you have the option like credit card, PayPal, so on. But I'll look into it. Hey Quentin, how's it going? You want to hug it from a distance, yeah. So I feel like now currently I'm struggling a little bit with nailing the character, like nailing the thing that makes him the thing, you know? But I do think the idea of this massive negative space in his big fat belly would like create an interesting interaction of um, of volumes, right? It would have a cool sense of stuff. So my thinking here is that I should really kind of focus on the recipe of this character, right? Um, because he is somewhat not a main character. He's going to be an enemy of sorts. Um, I should like create more negative spaces in him so that like that's the way the virus, because on the right one we see they're also creating these negative spaces, but this guy is like elongated, right? So I always try to like come up with ways to tie them together so that they'll have the similar visual language, but still not just being a repetition, because that's the last thing you want, right? It's just the same thing. You want it to be separate and unique. So maybe he could, yeah, let's give him some stupid hat as well. Throw a dynamite in his face, yeah, definitely. Hey, LR. You're nailing it. Oh, get your mind out of the gutter, Captain Jetlag. How dare you? How dare you? Super Gribbly. Like a stinger? Yeah. Alright, alright, let's try that. Let's try that. Like his back fat, his back bacon, kind of folds out, um, and through it is some sort of stinger of sorts. I don't want to make it like a scorpion fully, but let's kind of key into Dead Space a little bit heavier, because the idea of us alien virus hitting Earth in Western times, creating a virus that mutates the bodies. Um, I think that is quite Dead Space, right? But in Dead Space, it was the monolith or whatever it was called, the beacon, the this entity that is corrupting everything, whatever it was in Dead Space. What was it called? It wasn't called a beacon. It was called something like the transmitter, or I don't remember. Hey, with the breakfast, how's it going? Here takes a 30-minute warm-up emojis. Oh, super groovy. Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to kind of key into those emotions. Um, and that's definitely a good idea about the spine. Um, but I don't want to make it spine. I want to make it, because if you look on the right guy, it's kind of suggestive of ribs, suggestive of meat that's repurposed. And I don't want to cut the spine, right? Because the spine, you're going to need the spine to be able to navigate, because they're not like zombies, they're mutated. So I was thinking, you can't really break the spine in that sense. I mean, obviously there is some sort of reminiscence of spine going through the right guy, the right enemy. The marker? Oh, maybe, could be. Sounds somewhat familiar. Oh, really, Chinstrand? I knew that they were books, but the books were created after the fact, right? They weren't before the games. They wrote books about the world they created for the game, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Maybe this guy is like a little bit more screwed up. Maybe he's like banging into things, so he has more or less just one of those weird eyes working. Oh, really? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like the idea of 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 their like how they made the world, like these functional machines, how they like clunkily destroyed uh, the flesh with these industrial tools rather than anything else. But I think one of the mistakes they did was they were trying to adapt it in a sense that everything in this world had this clunkiness, that there's like no contrast. And I think like this police had the same kind of clunky tools, but like why should the police have like a cutter, you know? Why why aren't they having their equivalent of a like a police gun? Why do they need like a bolt gun that shoots nails? Like no police would use that. So for me, that kind of ruined it a little bit. Like they took their world one step too far, like introducing police, and the police had the same gear as an industrial worker, which was the the world for number one, right? Dead Space One. It's like, oh, you're a mechanic. Shit's hitting the fan. You gotta survive, whatever. Have a good day, Gria. Thank you for hanging out. Good luck with work. Oh, Gaxix, so have a great day, Gaxix. Thank you very much for dropping in and showing your face and that you're still alive. We are all missing you. Good luck with your art stuff, and hopefully you'll be back soon. Peace out, Gaxix. So where am I? Almost halfway. Yeah, I was struggling there in the beginning. Not good. Which is caused me to not be as advanced in the render as I would hope. Because now I'm gonna have to like try to make it work. Did they have weapons though, or did they have like they were called rifles, but they were looking just like the industrial tools of the main character? Or I mean, maybe I remember it wrong. I mean, in a way, I remember him having like the OP gun was actually like a police issue rifle that was shooting nail like these bolts really fast. But there weren't ammo around, was it? In the sense of like bullets. Just run right. I'm not sure that they were really any standard weapons. I thought it was. I think it all was just more or less just their adaptation of the world technology and just place it as a called it rifle, but it was that weird like industrial tool. I mean, in number three, there were rocket launchers. I think. Yeah, whatever. I think they did some mistakes when it comes to like taking care of their IP. I think they had a really good idea that was probably handed over between too many people, and too many people wanted to make their stamp on it, and in that, in return, um, devalued the kind of integrity, you know, watered down the idea. Voodoo breakfast, yeah. I don't really remember, so maybe I'm just kind of shitting on them for no reason. But my takeaway when it comes to memory and how they dealt with the game was amazing when it came out. Dead Space One and Dead Space Two was also really good, but they started kind of making some funky decisions in Dead Space Two, but not a lot. You know, they were still on point, if you would ask me. Then three, and I think they did a Dead Space. They didn't never did a Dead Space 4, I think. But the two was starting to be borderline. You know, like they strayed too far away from what made one really unique and cool. and I probably there was a lot of shift in people in staff. Is usually what happens. Like someone makes a really good game, they move on, they hand over the sequel to another team, while the people that made the hit are tasked with making the next big thing, and rinse repeat kind of. A voodoo breakfast. Yeah, those ideas were really cool. But yeah, like you said, they didn't manage to pull off what they had done. I think I'm not keen on the hat. It makes him look silly. I'm gonna remove it. But it was a cool world, though. Shame that they stopped producing for it. They could have done something really nice with it. This whole idea of like shitty sci-fi, like clunky sci-fi, was a really cool idea, and it wasn't like all lasers and like over the top power in their technology. Like, well, it was nice to play as the mechanic, you know, like a shitty stapler, more or less, oversized stapler, and then you start stapling these infected humans and cutting off their limbs and stuff. It was such a unique, I think, unique sensation, and the game itself, they have managed to do a great, like, horror game. It's just a shame that it took the turns it took. But there were probably quite intelligent people making decisions. Not every decision is pure gold. So who knows? They probably did the best they could um, with what was handed them. Probably the publisher also had some weight pressure on them to produce a certain thing. Like, oh, no, you can't change the recipe now that everyone loves it. You gotta uh, like you gotta do more of the same, most likely. Took the EA turn, yeah, probably, most likely. Avoided breakfast. Do you mean the Alien Ripley movie? Alien of the shitty. You mean the shitty sci-fi, clunky sci-fi? Yeah. Hey, Orion, how's it going? How are you, man? Rags. Yeah, the EA turn. Yeah. But what can you do? You know, EA is such a massive machine that requires a lot of people's input, and not all of the people's input they know what's cool. What does the kids like? Or maybe they're too old. Their generation, too big of a generational gap, or they don't care enough. They just look at the statistics when they're such a huge machine. Who knows? Who knows really? That's why maybe they hire a lot of skilled people to do those decisions for them. I mean, during that time where they did those games, it was quite a what's it called? Not revolutionary. volatile. There we go. A volatile period of where a lot of people were losing their jobs, and everyone was scared of losing their job and making a bad decision. There was a period there where there was a massive amount of layoffs. Yeah, I mean personally, a voodoo breakfast, I love that kind of setting um, of like a tangible world. If you know what if you understand what I'm trying to say, like a lot of sci-fi is you know what they're trying to communicate. They're they're relaying that information to you, but you don't take it in. Anyone can relate to like a shitty corridor in a spaceship, in more or less, like rather than lasers everywhere. And I think a big problem with sci-fi is that they make technology magic. You know that it doesn't have this everyday feel to it. It becomes these magical items, magical power. So that's why I love when they do sci-fis that are like anchored in reality. It's so much more tangible. Like, have you seen the movie Her, where a guy falls in love with a OS operating system? It's such a weird movie, uh, but a really cool thing that they did. It's obviously like in the future, um, but it's made in a way where it could be done today. There's no everything is done just so accessible. It could easily be any everyday situation, but it's obviously set in the future. And those kind of subtleties for me sells the idea way more than like look at this. They're in a like disc in space or whatever. Yeah, with Joachim Phoenix. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean Ex Machina was way better than her. It's completely different movies, but like Ex Machina was way more like intense, right? It it was a completely different thing. Where her was more like of a weird love story, and it was like that intense. I mean, it would be weird if it would be a completely different movie, and then you wouldn't have to need to readjust the way you present the movie if her was gonna be like Ex Machina. But I'm happy that there's two variations of it. Like her is this casual casual movie almost of a love, like a love movie, where if you think about it, like how much acting except the voice is it of this woman that he falls in love with, uh, and it's a really interesting way they deal with it, and how we as an observer deal with it, and how we see the world that the director is creating for us to be a part of. This woman that doesn't exist and their struggles. It's really, really cool. Definitely rags. Her could easily happen. Hey, Slappy Leroux. Ex Machina was a great movie. I loved it. Interstellar. I liked Interstellar. Um, it had a super weird rhythm though. That much I must say. It felt odd. And the biggest thing that you take away from it, walk when you walk away from Interstellar, like you're finished the movie, you're walking away, and it gives you this weird feeling of what did I actually watch? Like there's no real coherency in the back of your mind as you're walking away from the movie. At least for me. For me, it's this weird kind of sick. It's like you're having two conversations at the same time, and you don't really know which is what, and they all kind of merge because no discussion of the two is really saying anything dramatically, but you kind of follow both discussions at the same time, and then when you're done talking, you go like, I guess. But Interstellar, like as a movie, as an idea, um, was great. Like when you watch it, it's a fantastic ride. I must say, I love the experience of watching Interstellar. I wish just it would be a better takeaway, like what you bring away from the movie. The ride is fantastic. The ride is absolutely fantastic. It was definitely a fun movie, exciting movie with great plot twists, and you definitely made you think and all that. But like I said, it's weird feeling walking away from that movie. You have a hard time pinpointing the arc, like, or I don't know really know what, but for me at least, I have a hard time going in the movie in my head afterwards. But that being said, talking about Interstellar makes me want to go to my video archive and dig out the disc. It's a great fucking movie. Sorry for the F bomb. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Angst. Definitely a lot of angst in that. Very Nordic. Yeah, it definitely had this oppressive uh, angst movie. That's a good, really good explanation. Definitely, it's very Nordic. Perfect. All right, time's up. God damn it. This one is what it is. Not fantastic, nothing to call home about, but I do like it. I do think it has potential. All I need to do, much like the Native American, I need to go back through it, think about some of the decisions I've made, mostly bad decisions. What am I doing with that shotgun? And yeah, the perspective is broken. And give it some more love, but I think I got something at least. Um, maybe, uh, yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Tormo, definitely perspective is broken. Most definitely. Like I started trying to fix it, but I was way too modest in my fix. It needs to be more like that, like dragging the shotgun on the ground, but then, you know, what can you do? Something like that. Let's just remove the shotgun for now. Maybe that's better. Let's put in a coffee cup. For the sake of putting in a coffee cup. Okay. Time's up. Have a fantastic day. Good night. Let's see if someone is online. We can raid. Yo 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 yo. What's Zombie World Order doing? Is he making something cool? Not super exciting. What's that guy doing? Some weird. Oh, let's raid that guy. Alright, thanks everyone for coming. I hope I wrote that right. Let me double check it. It was completely wrong. Alright. It's gonna be the Jimmy the Brush. He's painting models. Have a great day. See you tomorrow morning. You guys are fantastic. Mila, thank you very much for the subscription. You are a diamond in the sky. Bye.